Here we go.
Well, hi everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Publish Now Group webinar. And I'm Sabrina Fritz, and I'm really happy tonight to introduce you all to Rick Baker, who is our new Client Relations Coordinator.
Yay.
He has saved my life already. Yes, yay! I'll tell you what. Thankfully, Rick was able to attend he's based in Sedona like Tom, and he was able to attend the retreat this past weekend and assist with the virtual retreat, as well as he's helping now with all the front end aspects to Publish Now. And the front end aspects are these ADP sessions and the Publish Now group webinars that we host, as well as getting you connected with Greg for your author website, and also getting into the soul read with Tom, getting that scheduled, moving forward to your style edit, and then your copy edit prior to going into formatting with John Hodgkinson, our project coordinator who handles all those technical aspects of formatting. So our team is growing because you're all showing up, thankfully, and getting your books moving forward and published. And you know, one of the wonderful things that we got to experience this past weekend at the March retreat, which by the way was our largest number registered people so far. I think we broke our record. It was like we had 103 people, and previously our record was 96. So we're increasing a little bit in each time. And virtual is one of those wonderful ways that we get to do that, which is wonderful. But before I go into our introduction with our special guest tonight, Natasha Burney, one of our authors in Publish Now, she shared this wonderful exercise with us during the retreat. I would like Rick just to say a few words, a little bit how he feels maybe right here in this moment of being here after being here for a couple of weeks, and what you'd like to see in the Publish Now program.
Okay. Well, you're putting me on the spot, but
I know.
I gotta get used to that, I suppose. So yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed the retreat. It was a lot, you know, because I just like kind of dove in the deep end, and in the last couple of weeks, I've been diving into the deep end and learning all the aspects of working with Tom and Sabrina, and the Publish Now program, learning how to schedule the soul reads and style edits, copy edits, and working with the Facebook groups for you know, the various Facebook groups for the authors that we create. So I'll be doing that. And what else did you want me to talk about, Sabrina?
How you feeling about being here right now, Rick?
Being here right now in this webinar?
Yeah, just with all of, you know, what have you said yes to? How are you feeling about being a part of the Tom Bird team right now? I'm really putting you on the spot.
Honestly, I feel really great. It just feels like I told Tom this at the retreat. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I've actually had dreams where I feel like I'm giving birth to something new, and I think this is a part of it. I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I feel completely in harmony with what I'm doing. There's no like inner dissonance or anything. It's I mean, which isn't to say there's you know, a lot to learn, and I'm a little, you know, there's that, you know, a little bit of stress, and you know, with anything, but inwardly it feels just right. How's that?
Oh, great. That's perfect. Thank you for that. No, I think that's great, and you have done a wonderful job, and we are throwing a lot at you, and I'm grateful for all the help that you've provided so far, and very excited about where this is going. I know that you're a wonderful asset to the program, so thank you for being here. Okay, and with that, so yes, over the March retreat weekend, we had a special guest. Natasha Burney is a returning author during that event, and she was able to bring in some breathing exercises to really help us connect more fully with the author within and really allow the words to flow. smoothly and more easily. So Natasha, I'm going to turn it over to you now and let you share a little bit about how they can do this and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dr. Natasha Burney, and I have my doctorate in physical therapy from UCSF, and I am a graduate of the Berkeley Psychic Institute, as well as a breathing expert. And on Saturday, people stand up, and I see one of you. What is your name? We have one participant.
That's Lauren, who's going to be sharing a little bit.
Okay. Hey, Lauren, I might as well tailor this to you because you are the one other person here.
No, actually, Natasha, there are 4 others that we don't see. There are 4 viewers. So this is a webinar format. So just the panelists, the hosts are presented. So
well, hello to everybody, and I'm going to have all of us stand up because one of the ways you're just going to be at your desk, but just stand up. I want to get your energy going, which is one of the ways you help your breathing instead of just being seated. And I'm going to have you just really clap your hands. Just a yes, 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 yes. Yeah. Just a couple more claps. Great. And then you're just going to sit on, we're going to stay standing for a little bit. We want to give you a chance because often when we sit down, it really helps us, it causes us to slouch. And the whole idea behind writing is we want to pour our heart and our soul down on that piece of paper. And to do that, that requires us to express our feelings, to feel them, emote, and all acts of feeling actually go back to the breath. Whether you're crying, laughing, singing, shrieking, or just merely changing the tone of your voice, that's how we actually express our feelings. So to me, the really hard thing about writing is the very time where you're trying to be in touch with your feelings and stay emoting, you're sitting in a chair and typically on a computer, which really invites us to slouch. And the problem with slouching is, or just poor posture in general, is we can't breathe. You use the same exact muscles for breathing as you do for posture. So if you have poor posture, you're not going to be able to breathe well. And if you're not breathing well, you can't have good posture. So the thing I'm going to do today, and what I'm here to help you with, is how to keep breathing while you write in a way that's going to help you pour your heart and soul down onto that paper. So I teasingly call this, I think this is going to show correctly, breathe, write, now. That it's one of the hardest acts. Like I could exercise and it's easy to breathe because the movement cues you to breathe. Whereas when we sit down and we just sit there, it's much harder to do. So with that said, why don't I actually have you come back and we're going to take your chairs and we're going to talk about the first of 3 main tools that I'm going to have us play with. And one is I'm going to put it under the category of hail the exhale. You're going to exhale slightly longer than you inhale. So one of the ways that we've always done that is singing. And my fallback song is This Little Light of Mine. But I'm going to invite you to sing whatever you want. You guys are muted, so people won't hear you. It's just my voice that they're going to hear. But you could sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, or Happy Birthday, or A, B, C, D, E, the alphabet song. Just pick something. On the count of 3, I'm going to invite you to sing at your desk. So ready? 1, 2, 3. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So often when you find that your vocal voice, it does help you to find that writer's voice. They're very connected. And another way to play with this is to read your material out loud. So often it's a great way to check, is what Tom checks for in our soul reads, is your author within present in your writing? And when you read it out loud, a lot of times that enables you to hear that. And you're also finding your breath. And the last thing I want to talk about is just call a friend. And I feel so old-fashioned, but I'm one of the few people who still picks up the phone to talk. And again, talking out your feelings is another way to get your heart and soul ready to be poured down on that piece of paper. So that's one set of tools. And another in your set of tools we're going to go after is it's getting that really strong current of feeling in your body while you're just sitting still in one place. And I happen to live in San Francisco, and I'll see if this is going to work. I have a view of the bay, so I'm going to put it out from there. I know, Rick, can they see the bay here?
Yeah, yes, that's very nice. Uh-huh.
And I'm using that image of the bay because I'm someone who really, I'm great at breathing if you let me move all around the room, whether I be running or swimming or jogging. But the problem with writing is you've just got to sit there. And like that beautiful bay that I get to look out, the bay doesn't change its place on the planet. It's in the same location. But we've had a really eventful winter here in San Francisco. There's been like just immense amount of rain. So all the currents have been really, really strong. What I mean by that is like there are times where I'd look out that window and we had a problem with one of the dams, Oroville. I don't know if the rest of the country heard about this, but this dam that had been never opened in over 50 years. So imagine around this lake and around this dam, all the logs, trees, all the debris had built up. And they finally had to let it go this winter because there was so much rain. And when they let that go, I'd look out my window and you would think it was like the lumberjacks letting all the logs roll out the river. It was just tons of trees, debris. Even at one point they were pointing out, you know, like refrigerators in that river. So I could really see the current was super, super, super strong. And that's what you want to do at your desk. Have that current be really, really strong and let you write, but not make you fidget. Or in my case, I just want to, you know, run and blow it off, like somehow exercise that current, that energy, that feeling, that emotion. So we're going to have another way of you getting at that. And it's going to be simply just sitting at your desk. I'm going to need to move my chair. I'm going to move this as well. Instead of you moving around the room, you're just going to move in ways that your back 6 ways, which is classic ways, again, opening up. If I get your back moving, I'm addressing both your posture and your breathing. So the first movement we're going to do, and there's going to be 6 of them, is basically you're going to exhale and you're flexing your back. And then we'll do the second one is going to be inhale and your back bending. And then we're going to do rotation. And rotation is just my ribs only moving. You're going to rotate to in my case, I'm going to the left. We're going to rotate to the right. And then we're finally going to do some side bending. And each one of these has it's opening up different parts of your torso, which actually correspond to in Chinese medicine, we have meridians. And it helps. Some are more about grief, some are more about anger, some are more about fear. But I'm going to give you a chance to do this with me right now. So you're sitting on the edge of your chair and you do want your feet on the ground. That also invites you to work your energy more thoroughly. And the first one we're going to do is the flexion. So you're just going to you're going to exhale as you're rounding your back or flexing it. Let your head be loose. And then you're going to inhale and you'll be doing a back bend. This often makes me feel like I'm flying, which go for it. You're going to exhale round, inhale, arch it, and exhale round, inhale, arch. Great. We're going to move on to now rotation. And you could put your hands on the edge of your chair or just on your lap. We're going to rotate. I'm going to have us go to the left first. So I'm taking my ribs only, my feet, thighs, butt. That's staying on the chair. It's staying static. You're going to rotate those ribs. On the exhale, and then inhale, you're going to come back to center. I'm going to stay with this side 3 more times. You're going to exhale, go back to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, back to the left. Inhale, center. 1 more time to the left. Big old exhale. Inhale, center. We're now going to go to the right. So you're going to exhale, rotate the ribs. Inhale, center. 3 more times. You're going to exhale to the right. and inhale. 2 more. Exhale to the right. And inhale. And 1 more time, I'm going to exhale to the right. And inhale. And the next one, we don't do a lot of side bending in our day-to-day life, and it's super important to do. I'll try to show this on this. My camera's like, I want to have you be able to see my whole body. When we slouch, we actually shorten the side of our body. I don't know if you can see this in my own body, but I'd have to push this back further. But yeah, when I'm slouching, this side body is getting really short. And if you think about it, all the muscles between your ribs, they're super important for breathing. When your lungs inflate with breath, it's these rib muscles that just need to automatically expand. You've been slouching, you're impeding that. You're really inhibiting that. So the side bend is something to definitely do, and we're going to do it right here. So we're going to, again, well, let's start with going to your right this time. I'm going to put my right hand on my chair, right by my hip. I'm going to lift that left arm up in the air. This is one way, or if that hurts your shoulder, you can just put the hand behind your head. You're going to inhale, and I want you to really inflate the sides of your ribs. Again, this is not just muscles and Chinese medicine. This is your gallbladder meridian. It's the one that helps for when you feel frustrated. And at times, I feel frustrated when I'm writing. I'm getting impatient with myself. I can't find that right word. And now you're going to exhale and come up to center. Big old inhale. Like I said, the hand can be across. It can be behind your head. Exhale, come up to center. I'm going to do it 2 more times to the side. You're going to inhale. As you inhale, you're really stretching those muscles in between the ribs that need to expand to breathe. And one, yep, we're going to exhale, come back up center. And last time to the side, you're going to inhale. And exhale, come up center. So we've done, and you might just take a moment to close your eyes. Just notice if that left side feels different than the right side. And that's simple, that was 4 repetitions. If you did more, you'd feel an even more dramatic difference. We're going to go to the other side now. So I'm going to take my right arm up in the air, or you can bend that elbow, and you're just going to inhale to the left, and exhale to sit up tall. Inhale to the left. Saturate that stretch in between the ribs. Exhale, sit up tall. And just 2 more times. You're going to inhale to the right, the left. Exhale, sit up tall. And 1 more time. Inhale to the left. And exhale, sit up tall. So in the world of physical therapy, we always say you can move your back 6 ways. But in the world of energy, you can actually, there's 2 more moves you can do. And they're kind of a cheat. I'm going to be, again, I hope this, how to show this on my chair. I'm going to bounce. I go up and down. It's another way of movement. I'm taking the body up and down. Typically, you could do this as an inhale, exhale. And I bring this up because we all have like our own kind of energy bias. Some of us are much more grounded than others. That is not my problem. And you'll know it, like when I'm much more, I tend to, like when I write and I get excited, I tend to leave my body, I tend to get very ungrounded. So for me, I have my feet on the floor right now. I actually do this kind of bouncing the traditional way that's done in Chinese medicine, which is called shaking. I'm leaving my feet on the ground. I could be sitting at my chair or standing, and I'm just gently shaking. And it's kind of a more settling down variation of this. If I was someone, and I have a couple of cousins who their nicknames have been everything from The Rock, Steadman, they're just grounded people. They got better nicknames. Like my nickname was always Bunny or Space Cadet. Like that's a big hint. I was very ungrounded. My cousins, they're totally grounded. They need a very different version of this going up and down. They can really need to kind of jump up and down and just get it going. Just get themselves all revved up because they're so revved down. They're so grounded. It's like there's no juices moving, which is the other benefit to doing this. When, unlike our blood, which has a special pump called the heart, all the other juices in our body, whether it's lymphatic fluids, your synovial fluids at the joints, your digestive fluids, the only way they really get moving is if you're moving. And again, sitting to right is very stationary, but you want to keep those energy, that feelings, juices going. And this is another way to play with that. So I want to give you a moment here. Figure out, like, you know yourselves. Are you a rock, a Stedman, or are you more the bunny space cadet type? So as bunnies, space cadets, we're going to do the gentler version. Those of you who need the more excited version, you can actually jump and just do what you need to do. Yeah, I can see some of you doing it great. And I just want to end this with one other way of moving that I've talked primarily about your torso, but it's just for a lot of people, they get really uptight because you have a lot of nerves that start at the neck. They flow down your arm, through your forearm, into your hands. When your hands get uptight, okay, that was my timer this is the last minute. When your hands get uptight, it again impedes our energy. It's like, it's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you have a tight neck, so you have problems like carpal tunnel, or you had the carpal tunnel and it sent the message up to the neck to be tight? So one of the things we're just going to do here is just take your fingers, and you can see I'm just taking my hand, I'm going to extend it. Writing is all this flexing, so we're going to flip it over, extend that wrist. Yeah. And again, remember to breathe. Often, like, I'm watching you, Rick. I can't help it. I'm just watching. I'm like, you got to breathe. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rat you out. Yeah, good. I can see it now. And then we're going to take your fingers and you just take one at a time. You're just going to pull those back. Often just extending your hands. Well, let's do the other hand. And I'll end this up. It's another way to energize yourself and get the juices flowing. And you're still sitting at your desk. You didn't have to take hours to go off and run somewhere. You just enlivened yourself with the simple breathing while you moved. One other way to play with this is, and it's this classic, all those ethnic dance groups, especially from Southeast Asia, they have a lot of moves where you take that hand and you push it out. So I'll put it like I'm here and then reach that through. So I just want to give you a chance to play with that. That's another way of just finding this. And again, think about it. You're playing with the voice, all the hand to voice connection. That's why I always think of this, and it has really helped at times. So with that, yeah, I'm going to say goodbye. Yeah, it's another way. And I hope you get a chance to breathe while you write. It's a great, great, great tool. Take care.
Oh, Natasha, thank you so much for that. I agree wholeheartedly that is one of the aspects in our retreat, that it's hard for us to get that body movement in when everyone's in that zone. And I know it brought a new level of connection for people when you shared it with us. And there's already comments in here that they're going to be using this video daily to help with the revisions. So yes, I thank you for your time, because I think this is really important to remember that component of the circulation. If we're circulating words, we need to circulate our blood and everything else. All right. Do you have something else you'd like to say?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Have a great. I've got to pick someone up in the city right now, so I've got to get going.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you for your time. Take care. All right. And then so up next, we actually have Dr. Lauren Belge with us as well. And I tell you, Lauren, when you shared your story with me in chat or email or text or wherever it was, I got so much communication over the weekend. I just lit up inside, because I knew you were on your life's purpose, your mission. And it's evident by the fact that you are getting these speaking engagements and your book is getting some notoriety and you're starting to make a name for yourself in this area. So I would love for you to share your story, and I know that you'll inspire other authors as they're working on their book and getting it out there in the world. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, sure. Happy to be here. This group means so much to me. Tom Bird has been part of my inspiration, part of my journey. And I think what I want to talk about is how if you say yes, the journey happens. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to put in a lot of work, because I've had to put in a lot of work. But just kind of taking a moment to retrace my steps. I was actually asked to speak at the Monroe Institute in 2014 at their professional meeting, because a friend of mine knew that I did some work around near-death experiences in the intensive care unit where I work. I'm an intensive care physician. When I say that I'm an intensivist, which is what the industry calls us, people think that's a personality trait. I don't see myself as that, so I like to say I'm a critical care physician. But that's such an interesting place to be, because you are right at the threshold of life and death with these beautiful beings. And about 20 years ago, I became very interested in working with people around their near-death experiences in the intensive care unit. So I was invited to speak at the Monroe Institute. I put together a little talk. And afterwards, someone said, "When are you going to write a book?" And I said, "I am writing a book, only I wasn't." So I'm not really sure why I said that. And I was kind of puzzled in my own soul about why I had said that. And I didn't want to be a liar, so I felt like I had to commit to writing a book. But honestly, at that time, it wasn't something that had crossed my mind at all. But once that seed had been planted, it would not let me go. And I put it to rest. I was back to work. And then I had this very synchronous meeting on a plane. I sat beside a woman on a plane. And she had been to one of Tom's workshops and for some reason just started talking to me about the book that she had written. And she said she felt like she needed to tell me about it, but she didn't know me at all. And we kept in touch. And unfortunately, 4 months after we met, she passed away from breast cancer. And again, I put the thought to rest. And I think in this circle, this will be well received and not frowned upon. But she came to me in a dream some months after she had died and said, "Why haven't you signed up for that workshop I told you about?" So that was a little unsettling for me. So I signed up for Tom's workshop. That was in 2014. And in 2015, about a year and a half later, I published Near Death in the ICU, which is the book that I wrote through Tom. And I 100% believe I could not have written that book without Tom Bird and his team. Because there is, for those of you in the Publish Now program, there is intense support every step of the way. And those moments when you feel down and you feel like you are bogged down in your writing process and you hate it and you think it's stupid, and you will have those moments, no matter how guided by spirit you are, you're going to feel stuck and you're going to feel like you're the wrong person to write your message. And the fact that you were even motivated to do it means you're the right person for that message. And I've learned not only a lot about writing through these workshops, but I've learned a lot about being authentic, about standing up for what you believe and being brave. And there were times whenever I was afraid to publish the book, afraid that it might affect my career, might affect me and the people I work with. But whenever I was had the courage to voice those concerns to people who work with Tom, there were a lot of mentors there to encourage me and believe in me. And so I think that through all the Facebook groups and all of these call-in opportunities, I encourage you to take advantage of them, because sometimes when I didn't feel like showing up, I showed up anyway, and there was always something there for me. And I think that once you publish your book, I think that's just the beginning, because if you believe in your message, the only person who's going to get that message out there is you. And I think that it doesn't really, I think I was fortunate in that there's a lot of interest in near-death experiences right now, but I think there's a lot of interest in every single topic every single one of you is writing about. It's just how you present it. And many of you write from a standpoint of wanting to help people facilitate change in their own lives. And that is, there are so many people who are seeking. So one thing I encourage people to do is, no matter what your topic, Google forums and see what people are questioning themselves about. And it doesn't have to be near-death experiences. It could be overcoming grief. It could be trying to recover from addiction or abuse, or just trying to be your most authentic self. I guarantee you there's a forum out there on the internet on that topic. And inviting yourself to that forum, asking to join, there's a lot to learn there about how people are asking questions about your particular topic. And I actually learned a lot by doing that. And I joined forums that were only remotely related to what I was writing about. And I still learned that informed my writing process, because no matter what your topic and what you want to feed to the public, if it's not the question they're asking, or not in a form they're asking, they're not going to receive it and they're not going to pick it up. So I firmly believe that it really doesn't matter what you're writing about. Seeing what people are talking about, what they're interested in, and giving your best self and your best book to what they're hungry for in the area that you're writing about is so important. Another thing I thought that I would point out is I was pretty aggressive too about submitting my book to award contests. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for, but as soon as you have award winner on the front of your book, people take notice, you're invited to radio shows, you get interviews, because people want to talk to authors who have that recognition. Another thing that I did was I paid for a Kirkus review. That's KIRKUS. And it cost me $400, but some of their editors will read your book and they will offer a review. And it's the best $400 I've ever spent, because a professional editor read my book, gave a review. It's a respected reviewing organization. They do some for free, books that are really hot and getting a lot of recognition, but they also will do paid reviews. And to be able to post that on your website and say you have a Kirkus review, that means a lot to people who want to potentially even pick up your book. So not only being aggressive on social media to get your message out there, but doing the legwork to make your book known, and not just in the circles that you're used to moving in, but getting it out to bloggers, offering free copies for people who will read it and blog about it in areas of interest. I've been just tried to be very creative and think outside of the box in how to get my book out there. And I've given away probably 50 free copies and had 6 bloggers actually take me up on the offer. But those 6 bloggers actually got me book sales. And joining forums and telling them about your book, that's gotten me book sales. And I think there's just a lot of creative ways to get your message out there. So that was really kind of what I wanted to offer, things that had helped me that I think might be useful to you too. So, just really knowing your public on the internet and what they're interested in and how to present your message first and foremost. Any particular questions, Sabrina or Rick, that come to you that you think I might answer that people are interested in?
Well, Lauren, what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and get everyone up so that we can see their video. They can unmute and ask you, because the information you have shared is priceless. And, it's right. You've given birth to the book, but then you went above and beyond of nurturing that baby and growing, feeding, diaper changing, staying up late at night,
Yes.
making sure all those steps were made in order to really put it out into the world in a bigger way.
You do have to work. I mean, just writing the book is only the beginning. And another thing too is inviting yourself to speak, offering to be a speaker. And that was something that Tom had advised us to do. And I really took him up on that, offering to speak at local libraries. I invited myself to our annual book fair and offered to do that for free. And at that speaking, I sold 70 books. So, and that was, it was a free talk that I gave. I found out all the conferences on near-death studies, consciousness, and offered to come and speak for free. pay my own way. And that actually resulted in 2 paid speaking invitations to come and speak at other conferences. But I had to invest that money and time to kind of start the momentum. And actually speaking at one of those conferences that I offered to come to for free resulted in me being on the Today Show. And after I was on the Today Show for 2 months in a row, I had $6,000 in sales of my book. And that is a testament to you put the time in. If you are persistent with your message and people are interested in your topic, you will be invited to speak and you will have sales. I think I talked at the retreat too about investing in yourself. And one of the things that I've done is to learn how to be a good speaker, because most of us, even if we have the gift of gab, are not naturally good speakers. And there are ways and to learn how to do that and to present an engaging presentation. And I can't say enough about the Authentic Speakers Academy with Rachel and Dada Groover. And I think they were at the last live retreat. That's a resource worth pursuing. And the nice thing that Dada does is he teaches you how to have one talk that's an hour to an hour and a half long, that on command you can shrink to 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes. You can actually adjust within that by understanding the structure of your talk and the topics, and kind of move things around at will by building a mental scaffold, an internal scaffold of your speech, and being so familiar with it that you can actually use that to structure your interviews and pull from that hour and a half speech to conduct interviews and even be really good on the spot. So that's worth the investment in yourself to be able to bring your message to the world in a powerful way.
Well, I agree that you do have to invest in yourself. And I'd love to open it up at this time to see if anyone has any very specific questions you'd like to ask, or general questions, whatever it might be, and ways that can help you get your book out there. Paul, you look like you have a question. You're unmuted.
Great. Yes. How did you get invited to the Today Show? That's on my 2-year plan.
It is on your 2-year plan. Fantastic. Well, it was a synchronous event. I was at the IANS conference in Orlando, the International Association for Near-Death Studies, this past July. And Matt Lauer has a particular interest in near-death studies. I didn't know that, but he had heard about this conference, and he sent a team there to just do spontaneous interviews. And I had given my talk, and one of the producers saw my talk and asked me to come up to their suite and do a brief interview. So they interviewed me for about 30 minutes. And about 4 months later, I was called by the producers, and they said they wanted to come out to where I lived, which is in Wisconsin, and film a segment again. And that aired in December 19th. And I considered that a real honor. That seemed like a real moment of achievement for me.
Sure. Do you know Dr. Gary Habermas?
I don't.
Okay, he's a surgeon in Atlanta. I believe he's a heart surgeon. He is also a strong person in the area of near-death experiences. You might look it up. He has several books also.
Can you say his name again?
Habermas, Habermas.
Terrific, I will.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to, I think any person who is working with patients at the edge of life, we see things, we hear things, and it's something that people are very uncomfortable talking about in the medical community. It's not necessarily safe space in a traditional medical environment to talk about it, but I think that's changing.
I just love it. Great presentation.
Thank you. I'll tell you guys an interesting story that happened. I think that this is testament to any of us who are writing on a particular topic. Once you step into that stream, you just encounter things that revolve around your topic of interest over and over and over again. The book I'm writing about now is more about anomalous experiences that happen around patients, not necessarily near-death experiences, but You know, we have a couple of, for lack of better words, hauntings in the hospital, and you know, nurses make jokes about it. But in any hospital I've worked in where people have lived and died, you have those stories of lights that go on and off by themselves. And but we had a really interesting experience that was just so poignant. We had in our intensive care unit earlier this week, in fact, a woman in her late 80s who was dying from end-stage emphysema. And we were able to get her off the ventilator, but it was clear that she was failing. And she had told her family, I don't want that tube back in my mouth. I'm ready to go home. And we had a brand new respiratory therapist who had been with us for 2 or 3 weeks. And when we take care of patients, we actually move around in teams, kind of like they do in academic centers where they walk in a kind of a cloud of people from patient to patient. But in our team, it's the doctor, it's the nurse, it's the pharmacist, the social worker, the pastor. So everyone who's involved in that patient's care, we gather at the bedside. We talk about the patient in front of them and their families so they feel like they're a part of it. So Tracy, the new respiratory therapist, walked in and the patient said, "Happy birthday, Tracy." And Tracy said, "How did you know it's my birthday?" She said, "Your grandmother told me." And Tracy said, "My grandmother's dead."
Wow.
So at this point, Tracy's crying, and the lady, the patient, started laughing and said, "Well, then maybe I'm already dead." But she said that her grandmother Tracy's grandmother had come to her and shown her pictures of Tracy as a little girl, and she was able to describe these pictures to Tracy, and she was blown away and very emotional, of course, but that was an incredible birthday gift to Tracy. But it happens. I mean, a handful of times a year, very interesting, mysterious things will happen. And that's what I'm writing about now.
What is your contact information? How can someone send you an email or other way?
Can I type in the chat box, Sabrina? I'll try.
Yes, you can make sure it goes to everyone.
Sure.
Yep.
And my website.
I see it.
And if anyone wants to contact me personally and talk about the Publish Now program or the process of writing your book, I believe in this process. I've been to 3 live workshops, and I've done every remote workshop that they've had. That's usually about 4 a year. To kind of keep me connected to the group. And even if you can't go to a live workshop, there's so much value in attending virtually and reconnecting to the energy of that group to help get your work done.
I hate to monopolize, but I'm going to share a story with you about an NFL football player from Atlanta that occurred. And I think you'll just love it.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you.
You're going to send it to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So we all wanted to hear it.
Well, we all want to hear it now, Paul. So go ahead. There's no monopoly.
Oh, gosh. Okay. This guy was an All-American from Texas A&M. He played on a fantastic team back in the 80s. And he was riding with another Atlanta Falcon football player. Their car hydroplaned. They ran into a pine tree about 5 miles from our house. It was pouring rain like it has not been in a long time. In the process, my friend hit his head, went into a coma from the accident of hitting the tree, and the other guy, the driver, was killed instantly. I went over to the hospital, had something calling me to go and say, go over there and meet with the family, because he went to the same school I did. After I got there, I met his mother, and over about 4 or 5 weeks, I went every day to go see her. In the process, the doctor said he's going to die. If he doesn't die, he's going to be a vegetable. So one day I was there, and she said he started to stir today a little bit, but we don't expect anything out of it. There were all kinds of prayer cards on the windows that people had written prayers about for his healing. So he stirred while I was there. He must have heard a man's voice. So the 2 of us walked over to his bed, and we placed our hands in his hand. His mother put her hand in one, and I in his other hand. And he woke up from his coma. He wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to die. he looked at me. He didn't know who I was. And he looked at my Texas A&M ring and did the Gig 'em Aggie sign like this. He couldn't speak a word because he had all the symptoms of a stroke victim. He came back from all that, went back to school and got a master's degree. And we were featured on the NBC evening newscast one evening, discussing it, and his showing up at a party we had for him. So it was truly a miracle. It was being in on a miracle of somebody who was supposed to die.
And that changes your perspective on everything, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
The power
so
of prayer and healing.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. It's that what a gift to have been a direct part of that.
Yes.
And I think
the guy's name is Garth Ten Napel, Napel.
Okay. Well, and you were only just a couple of studio rooms down from the Today Show when you were on the NBC News.
Well, no, they filmed it. They filmed it in Atlanta. They came over. They sent a team down here. But yeah,
thanks for sharing.
I'm so close.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, wonderful. And I know, Lauren, it is a topic that is, I think, touches almost everyone's lives. Probably most of us do know somebody that has either had that experience, if not themselves. So, and I know where you are. I had a former prospective client who was the former chief of cardiology at the University Hospital in California, UCLA, and he had a near-death experience and shifted everything for his life, his beliefs, and he let his position go. He woke up. His book is called Dying to Wake Up.
Oh, wow.
And he had dismissed so many of his patients when they would say that they had these experiences. He would always just never had time for them, didn't listen, didn't believe them, and then got his attention. So.
Yeah, it's a common malady in Western medicine. And I think it's a byproduct of how we're trained. We are trained to practice evidence-based medicine. And if we can reproduce the results, it's reliable. If we can't, it's not. And so I think that Western practitioners get a lot of grief for their point of view, but it's a product of sometimes 15 years of training. And it's really, I have a lot of compassion for that point of view because I understand how we all got there. And some of us, for one reason or another, have an awakening, and it does change our perspective. And then we're even more aware of how some of us shut down people who have not necessarily what I call a spiritual experience, but I think it's a human experience. Just like a dream is a human experience, having a near-death experience or a psychic vision, I think those are human experiences. And we tend to kind of say that they're spiritual because it's a little bit more comfortable. But I think it's more widespread than we realize. And I actually think anomalous experiences during severe illness and near-death experiences are more common than we realize because we're just not asking. When I was writing my book and I was interviewing all 5 of our chaplains who work in the 2 hospitals where I work, and I was prepared for them to say, yeah, maybe they had heard about one of their colleagues who had heard about somebody who had a near-death experience, and they said, oh no, we hear about it all the time. We're safe space. They don't feel comfortable talking to medical providers, but they said we may hear 1 or 2 a month. I'm like, really? Do you know how common that is? When we tend to think of, the people who do research will say it occurs in maybe 5% of the population. I actually think it's probably higher. And the research would show that if we were a society where it was more readily accepted and more comfortable to talk about. But I think that, it's hard to work at the bedside of where people are so close to that threshold of life and death and not pay. If you're paying attention, you're going to hear anomalous experiences. And I think it's easy to kind of brush them off as dreams or side effects of medication. But if you open your awareness and consider the possibility it might be authentic, I think the point I make in my book is that it doesn't matter if it's authentic or not. There's no role for trying to prove it at the bedside. If you are interested in good patient care, listening to their experience and giving them the respect they deserve for it is all that you're asked to do. I mean, telling them that it didn't happen is beyond your scope of practice.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I want to make sure that the people that are listening to the recording know how to reach you or find out more about you. Your website, Lauren Belg. Is that how you pronounce your last name? Belg?
It's Belge, just like Belgium without the
Okay.
Yeah. My husband's grandfather came from Italy under very suspicious circumstances and changed the name. Yeah.
It's kind of like my last name with Fritz. My husband's ancestors arrived and had to Americanize the spelling. Right. So tell people, if you spell it wrong, you spell it right. But but it makes great when you get your domain registered because nobody else has your name, right?
It was easy. Yeah. And my name is Lauren, but it's with an I. So it's LaurinBellg.com. And that's my email as well at Gmail.
So thank you for that, Lauren. And anyone else here live have any other questions about Lauren, how she got her book published, stepped through any of that fear, help promote it? Everyone's quiet tonight.
Lauren, I have a question. In your approach to conventions, conferences, because you weren't yet known in the field, did you send out proposals, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I sent out proposals and a copy of my book. And I just contacted, in fact, I was not supposed to be copied on one of the emails, but I accidentally got copied on it. And one of the leaders in the field said, "Who is this woman?" But I ended up getting invited to speak. And it was, just one of the breakout sessions, but it didn't matter because I think, no matter what you're writing about, I guarantee you there are meetings and conferences about it. But I found out, I just Googled conferences about consciousness, conferences about near-death experiences, sent them a copy of my book. I also contacted hospice associations, palliative care conferences, anything that I thought was remotely related. And so I've done a couple of those too. But conferences are looking for speakers.
How did you deal with the financial and that the offering to come for nothing kind of cheapens and downplays the value that you have? How did you?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, when you are new and they don't know anything about you, offering to come for free helps them fill in spaces and speaker spaces. So I didn't think it downplayed it at all. And that was my gut feeling about it, because if you hold out and say, I'm a valuable speaker, I'll only come for $1,000, and they don't know who you are, they're never going to invite you. But actually showing up at 4 conferences for free resulted in me being paid $1,000 speaker fee and my plane, room, and board covered for 2 conferences. So for me, it was worth the investment. But I cared so much about my message that I wanted to get it out there. So for me, it was worth buying the plane ticket to propagate the message of respect for things that you don't understand that people experience.
And, I want to jump in there, Lauren. I want to just say that that's very typical in today's world with speaking engagements. That's how I met Tom, was booking his speaking engagements. And every speaking engagement that I booked for Tom, he paid for his own airfare, travel expenses, all of that. It was an investment to get people introduced to his services and workshops and retreats and that type of thing. So it was definitely the investment that he was willing, not only in time, energy, and money, to do so to reach a larger audience. So that is definitely, if you're thinking that now that you're an author, that there's going to be the $10,000 and $25,000 checks that can come. Absolutely. I mean, look what's happened with Lauren as far as all these amazing little miracles lining up, conspiracies from the universe to make sure that everything is lining up to her bigger vision and her goal of sharing her message. So yes, she's shown up and she's done a lot of time and investment in that, but she's just also been present and open to the messages when they come and saying yes, knowing that that's the next logical step. If you're holding out for a paid speaking engagement, you'll likely never get that, because you start with the local. I mean, any speaking coach today will tell you that you need to go to your local chambers of commerce and your local networking groups and offer to bring hors d'oeuvres to get some 5 minutes of stage time. Things like that. Start local audience. So you find a way to do stage trade with your actual area local community first to get those speaking engagements booked up. So
yeah, it's a harder shift for those of us who are used to getting paid to speak. And you're talking about moving outside of the realm of which we're known, and it's good to hear that. Thank you.
But you can definitely, still do your Unity circuit. David. Absolutely. And I know people have some more questions for you, Lauren. I do have on here Sally with, it was so synchronistic on Saturday when you shared your story. And you mentioned the Authentic Speaker Academy, and you did that again. You didn't know that Rachel Jane and
no, I didn't.
were in the audience, which I thought was hilarious. And, I was so happy. Sally, who works with them in their education department and really coaching with their clients, and I have been friends for many, many years. And so I've known her working with Rachel Jane and Dada. I was very familiar with their work and attended a few of their workshops, and I knew that I had to connect them with Tom, even though they were very hesitant, and it was very synchronistic. They were getting ready to fly out the next morning after 5 days of training, and Tom was flying in that very evening for his speaking engagements in Colorado. It was going to be late at night. Neither party really wanted to do it, but I saw the vision and knew they had to do it, encouraged Tom, and Sally poked and prodded Rachel Jane and Dada to agree to it. And they came into a retreat, and now Dada's on his 8th book, I think it is. And
wow.
Working with their clients, they have this wonderful program, Art of Feminine Presence and Awaken Your Impact, and the Authentic Speaker Academy, where they really connect the messenger with their message and how to monetize that and reach larger audiences. And I knew in their Art of Feminine Presence, the room was filled with people that needed to write their books. That was like the missing link to their next step in healing and growth and evolution and everything. So I'm really excited about the partnership we do have going on. And hey, Sally, I'm going to unmute you so that you can share what was offered over the weekend.
Yeah.
I know Sally. I know Sally. You remember me, Sally?
Oh, do I? Oh, I adore you. Your book is amazing, and it helped me so much. I don't know if you can see me or not, but
we see a picture of you dancing.
Oh, really?
Yes, your video's not showing. You could start your video maybe.
Okay, let me do that real quick here. Let me see how do I do that? Let me see here.
If you're on the computer, cursor over your screen, and in the lower left hand area, you'll see a video, which should give you, if there's a line through it, you should be able to click on it to start it. There you are.
There you are.
Oh, hey, beautiful.
Hi, Lauren, your book, it really changed my life, and I had a really special experience with you. You have an amazing way of connecting with people, and you helped validate my own near-death experience.
I remember it.
Mm-hmm. And you helped my daughter also with things that she's experienced. And so I just, I just adore the courage that you're out there with, in your community, in the medical community, helping these doctors to have more of an open mind around their patients when they have this. And yes, Sabrina knows me before and after with working with the Grubers. She knew me before working with the Grubers and then after. And I think she could probably attest that my level of presence and confidence has absolutely changed on video and on stage, because she has seen me both ways. And So I'm director of coaching for the Groovers, and they've worked with Tom quite a bit. They've both written several books. And Rachel Jane is the author of the bestseller, Powerful and Feminine, How to Attract the Attention That You Want. And she has built a very successful business based on the content of that book. But it's not just for women, it's for men also, because we all need a magnetic presence if we're going to attract the attention that we want on video or on stage, to get that attention pulled in around our book for the right people, and be able to even create programs. She's a genius at maybe even creating programs off of the content that's in your book. That could look like workshops, that could look like coaching programs, online or in person, but there's a whole world out there in way that you can make money and more impact based on this amazing information that's in your book that has come through you, right? And so she holds a 3-day event called Awaken Your Impact, and Sabrina's been there, and Laura's been there, and many of our amazing Tom Bird tribe has been there. And it is a 3-day event. It's based on increasing your magnetic presence, increasing your ability to sell from stage if you want to, increasing your ability to develop your messaging and your positioning around your book out there in the world, and be able to get it out there in a way that lands. Because sometimes there's a struggle around that, around getting it out there in a way that lands versus just kind of struggling out there and wondering, why aren't people responding to me in the way that I need, or the way that I want, or the way that is in proportion to the amazing value that you have in your book. So this event is in Denver, and it's in Australia. And for this group only, she's offering free tickets to Tom's special group here. It's a $9.97 value, and she's offering free tickets. The Denver event, the US event, is in Denver, and that is September 15th through the 17th. And the Australia event is in Melbourne, and it's October 20th through the 22nd. And how you get your free ticket is to email us at support@grooverseminars.com, and I'll spell that. So it's support at Groover is GROOVER seminars.com. And if you have any problem with that, just connect with Sabrina, and she can connect you with me, and but we can get you your free ticket to that. And it is an amazing event. Every time, I've probably done their events probably 50 times, and every time I get a huge dramatic breakthrough. It's the real deal. It's legit, right, Sabrina? It's legit.
It definitely is, and that's the thing. It gives you insight into areas and where you might be hiding or not fully showing up, in order to have that more authentic presence as you're really verbalizing what your core message is, your main purpose of being here in this world. And that's why it really helps. I think it complements the work that we do from the Divine Author Within state, where we're really unleashing what our true message and what we wish to share in the world through written word. They help in the areas in the spoken word, because as we all know, this is all associated, as Teresa would say, with the throat chakra that we're all opening and working with. It's the same type of communication, written or verbal, and it definitely helps. It's not always nice. It is good to get informed of what those shadows that we carry might be holding us back. And this event definitely helps in that area as well.
Absolutely. That's a huge point, Sabrina, around the psychological aspect of it. So it will address the psychological aspect that we have around things that we have that are actually keeping us disconnected from our audience, or even from our personal relationships. And we all have these little weird idiosyncrasies. And like Sabrina said, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes to have those called out, but it's really important, right? And also how to amplify your authentic assets. This isn't fake it till you make it sort of confident and on cue, go to the side of the stage and make this sort of gesture. It's not that at all. It's all about being completely authentic and being able to center into your presence in that and identify what those shadows are that are keeping you disconnected, either in love or in money or on stage or in your impact. And so it's support@gruberseminars.com, and you can tell them that Sally offered this, and so it's a free ticket, and we would love to see you there.
That's perfect. Okay, well, we'll make sure we share that with the recording as well and get this word out. Is there any sort of deadline in which they need to respond?
That is a really good question. I don't know. So let's just say if you can respond in the next 2 weeks, you got a free ticket. But I'm pretty sure that if you respond after that, we're not going to say no. Right? Because free is free, right? We're offering a gift here. So,
right. Okay. Well, so
yeah,
somebody listens to this recording in 6 months, and
well,
it's the weekend before.
We need to grab it before the event fills. So
Okay.
the sooner that you can do that, the better, obviously. Right. Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Sally, for coming in and sharing. And I just want to open it up to anyone else who would like to ask a question of either Lauren or Rick on the Publish Now program, or Sally on Awaken Your Impact. I'll answer too, Rick. Don't worry. I won't leave you hanging. Teresa, all right. There you go.
I don't really have a question. I guess I just wanted to say thank you. It sort of feels like a little bit of a miracle, listening especially to Lauren. My book is not about near-death experiences. However, my experiences since my near-death experience are what have led to the book I've written, or have written and I'm working on revising. And hearing Lauren speak from the angle of being a very professional person in the medical system, and then sharing this sort of area that is partially frowned upon or questioned and people aren't sure about, really resonates with me. I work in mental health, and I've worked in mental health for 30 years, and I'm now presenting healing methods that are not necessarily viewed favorably in the mental health profession. So it feels like twice I've gotten a large hit of validation listening to Lauren. So I just really wanted to thank you very much, and really want to thank I've just forgotten your name, but the lovely woman who just spoke to do with Awakening Your Impact. It that is such a kind gesture. So just thankfulness. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And we're grateful to have you here too, Teresa. And glad that you dove right in right after the March retreat. It's good to see you. So anyone else? Trisha, I know you attended the Awaken Your Impact in Dallas, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And it was at a very tough time in my life. I lost my husband Christmas of 2015. I lost my dad, my other hero, May 31st of 2016. And I went to the August Tom Berg seminar, birthed my book, Hourglass Moments, one of my husband's last requests before he passed away. And I fulfilled that. And at the August retreat, Dada and Rachel Jane were there and said, we have a free seminar for you. And Texas is my home originally, so I made that happen. And I don't even know, without Tom Berg and these two magnificent people that Sally represents, if I would be alive, because I want to say I experienced what I'm going to call the dark night of the soul. My book went on a shelf, and I just came back, thank God, in January, and I was at the retreat with you guys just this last weekend, and I'm on, and I didn't share this with the group, but my computer crashed this last weekend and I lost everything. However, there was a young man, local guy, who did recovery that I found through one of the authors that was attending the retreat. He looked like a techie guy, so I attacked him in the parking lot and said, hey, do you know anybody local? And he did. This man came on Sunday to the hotel, and he first said, it doesn't look good, but let me try. And I said, let me pay you. And he said, no. He said, if I can't fix it, I don't want any money. And I said, no, you're going to get something. He said, then $10 for my gas. What a wonderful, humble man. And so I wrote him a check for $50, went back in Tom's seminar. It was the completion part of our weekend. And as I finished, I looked down, and the kid had said, his name was Beacon, like a beacon of light. Can you believe that one? And so I said, Beacon. He said, it's Beacon. I got it. And it's on your desktop and on your flash drive. Now, what is that? But miracles all the way around. So I can't say enough wonderful things for what all of us are embarked upon here. I mean, it's amazing. And Lauren, I've been watching you over a few little bits of time. I almost want to think you were at the Impact at Dallas. Yes. And you were very impressive, and you touched my heart. So thank you to all of you. All of you.
Well, thank you, Tricia. And oh gosh, I'm really glad that Beacon was able, I'm not surprised, but I'm really glad that he was able to restore your manuscript, because I know that you had accomplished so much, and you felt like when it disappeared that God was telling you not to be an author. And I knew that was not the message, that trust was the message you were getting. And you were a pillar of that. The fact that, honestly, if that would have happened to me in the midst of that room, everybody would have known I would have lost my manuscript. So you were just this beautiful, I'm going to go with it, see what we can do, and you got it done. And so, yes, there are a lot of miracles in this group, and we're going to continue to manifest even more and more. So is there anyone else that would like to share? We have a few more minutes before we wrap up, but I love that this is kind of an impromptu Q&A and share. There's been a lot of wealth of information shared this evening. So anyone else? Judith, I would love to hear from you. I'm going to unmute you. There you are.
Hi there.
Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I forgot the number, so I was struggling all over trying to get the Zoom number, and it made me connect with Kurt, though, who was in my group. So he said you had responded on Courageous, and I got it. So I'm so glad I did.
Great.
My book is called Remember His Name, and I think maybe a couple more months, and it'll be hopefully in formatting and be ready to go. I'm in copy edit right now. But what I want to ask to people who've published is, I am getting all excited, of course, as it's going to come out, but also a little bit of that fear and nervousness that, oh my gosh, people are going to read what I wrote. And I'm, I don't know. It's just kind of that dual feeling of excitement and fear at the same time, that I'm really putting myself out there.
I hear that, Judith, and I tell you, it without fail, every author, and I don't know, Lauren can attest to this because she published before I came on board, but it seems like no matter what, every author gets tested on their message and, their commitment to their book right before the launch, or as the launch gets closer. And I think they have several exit strategies presented to them at any given time that they could take if they choose to just throw it all in. And I haven't, thankfully, seen anyone go that direction yet. So as you know, what I would suggest is reconnecting with your group in the Facebook group and start sharing that where you are, and maybe start sharing some of your sample chapters out there as well. Have you been sharing your work lately with the group?
Not lately. I
Yeah, because
did.
the ADP, I know it ended. You know, we launched the one on the March, and you're always welcome to come back into a new ADP session as well. So we had our kickoff meeting last night, the first one with the short stories assigned. So you know that one.
Yeah.
And Monday we start up again. So if you want to join that group, we'll have Rick make sure that you get added in there. Rod will do it as well. And the recordings posted there. And I think it would just help you to have new support as you're going into this next phase of finishing your book and getting it out there.
Thank you. I would love that and appreciate it so much.
Well, this group is called Determined. So you're coming in right at the right time, you know, doing that and making sure. And Lauren, you know, you're always welcome to come back into an ADP group too at any time.
I would love to. Can I say something to Judith?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I can remember right before I released my book saying to Tom, I don't think I can do this. And he just looked at me, he said, that's too bad. It's too late. You're going to do it. And, you know, I think that's what I needed. I mean, I think if someone, you know, I think if he had given me a big hug and said, oh, come here, it's going to be okay. I mean, I think that was not what I needed. But I can remember actually having an out and out panic attack once it was released. Because my hope was that I would get it off my chest, float it to the world, and nobody would read it. Because it's the put on the paper is so personal and it's terrifying. And I actually there was a moment where I was so certain that I would lose my position, and I created that in my own head. I had made up my mind about how my colleagues were going to receive it, and fortunately, I was wrong. But you know, the part about us manifesting our own reality. Thank goodness that I wasn't capable of doing my fears at that moment. That my higher self, I think our higher selves kind of know that and can rescue us and come to our rescue in those moments when we're feeling fear and doubt. Because writing a book is terrifying, and you know, putting your soul on paper is one of the most fearful things that we can do. But it's one of the most amazing things that we can do too, to give birth to that message. Because if we don't, somebody else will.
Right. Thank you so much.
I love that, Lauren. That is so true. If we don't, somebody else will. And so thank you all. Is there anyone else who cares to share at this time? Lauren, or would you like to be in the ADP group that launched last night as well? I've got Judith, I'll add. And then Lauren, yep. Okay, we'll get you in that private Facebook group and get you the meeting ID and the schedule and everything on that. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to share before we wrap up then this evening? Yeah. All right. Well, I know, Paul, did we answer your question on how Lauren knew those conferences, when to, you know, I'm sure the Google Forms that she was in, as well as any kind of Google search under, you know, conferences under your message, you'll be able to locate those.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. And so we'll meet again in April, the second Thursday in April. Gosh, what is that date? I can't believe we're already talking about April, honestly. I mean, that just, I know. And just to note to everyone, we do have daylight savings time this weekend, which is March 12th. And so at that time, Arizona time, the relationship to other time zones Arizona moves to Pacific time. So just remember, when we start in 1 month for the Publish Now webinar, and that 5 p.m. start on Arizona time is actually 5 p.m. Pacific, so then it adjusts to 8 p.m. Eastern, as well as Central and Mountain time adjusting. And it will be on
April 13th.
13th, yeah. So Tom's at University of New Mexico, so that's good. We'll be doing something else again. We'll probably have a guest speaker or more information to share to you. I'm not sure what the topic's going to be yet, but I'm sure it'd be just as riveting as tonight's topics were, and these breathing exercises we all have now to keep our body moving as we write, and to you know, never give up to our commitment to our message. I think that's what Lauren is ultimately saying. stay committed to your message and put in the time and the investment to get it out there in the world. So we also have the Awaken Your Impact offer, which is very generous. And thank you, Sally, for coming on and showing us your beautiful face and smile. All right, everyone, we will see you hopefully April 13th, if not in your ADP sessions. Have a good night. Take care.